Can I request the panelists to open their video cameras? We are live now and we will begin. Thank you. So good afternoon to our viewers. We welcome you all to the webinar on women in conservation in Himalayan regions. This is a part of the Secure Himalaya webinar series, which was launched on the occasion of the International Snow Leopard Day by the Honorable Minister of State, Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Sri Babul Supriyo, on 23rd October 2020. The Secure Himalaya project is an initiative of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, the Global Environment Facility, and the United Nations Development Programme, which aims to establish and implement a landscape-based approach to conservation in high-altitude Himalayan regions, which constitute the habitat of the vulnerable snow leopard and are of immense natural and cultural value to the entire Indian subcontinent and the world. We are joined here today by an esteemed group of panelists. Shri Soumitra Das Gupta, ATG Forest Wildlife, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, who will be joining us shortly. Ms. Avni Lavasa, the Municipal Commissioner, Jammu Municipal Corporation. Ms. Sonam Shodin Bhutia, Director, Kanchenjunga National Park and Biosphere Reserve. And Dr. Manvi Sharma, Research Associate, Nature Conservation Foundation. So to begin with, as we are waiting for Shri Soumitra Das Gupta to join, I'll just give a brief overview of the objective of the webinar. As we all know, women form a significant proportion of the workforce in rural societies, and especially in the case of mountain societies, where traditionally the men of the household are engaged in pastoralism or seek employment in urban areas. And therefore, it is the women who drive day-to-day livelihood activities as well as social engagements. Since the interaction with natural environments is also quite high, they are also key players in managing and sustaining their natural resources and the ecosystems around them. However, it is an irony as well as a perplexing problem that the high dependency of women on natural resources also makes them very vulnerable to the changes and calamities posed by biodiversity loss, habitat degradation, and climate change.
Huh?
Yeah, I think we have been joined by
Krishna, just past 2 minutes. We just we'll just get this technology issue handled. ये आपको YouTube वाला नहीं पता है?
We are live on YouTube now, Dr. Ghosh.
You want to stream for YouTube?
लैपटॉप का माइक काम
हाँ, तो ये सर की तरफ करना पड़ेगा फिर लैपटॉप, है ना?
Can you send the mail to me?
हाँ सर, WhatsApp. Yes sir, WhatsApp पे. सर yes, ठीक है ठीक. Yes sir, yes sir.
I would request the audience to just give us a minute while we are figuring out the logistics and getting the additional director general online.
Right. सर कर दो, मैं मेरे पास मोबाइल है. हाँ ठीक है.
ये क्या है ना YouTube का?
नहीं सर, आप just
ये दिया तो है पर
मैं कॉल करना दिया
ट्विटर कर
मैंने है ना लैपटॉप पे कनेक्ट कर रहा मैम ने वो डायरेक्ट HDMI से लगा के टीवी पे तो आ गया. अभी वहां से कॉल मत करना तुम कोई भी. लैपटॉप से कनेक्ट कर दिया। कैमरा तो वेब कैम काम करेगा ना? नहीं नहीं नहीं, लैपटॉप का ही कैमरा। हाँ, एक बार आके तुम शायद आ जाओ, इसकी ऑडियो वीडियो सेट कर दो। इसकी ऑडियो
सर के करिए और हम लोग लाइव स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, है ना? चलिए लाइव इसको कर दीजिए।
इधर ले चलो, लेट मी हैंडल।
Part, sorry, we are live now.
Yes, we are. So I would just like to welcome now Mr. Soumit Sudas Gupta, Additional Director General of Forest Wildlife, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, who will give the opening remarks on this second webinar on women in conservation in the Himalayan regions. Sir, over to you now for the opening remarks.
Okay, Mr. Parth Joshi, thank you. It is a wonderful opportunity for us to be a part in today's webinar. And I'm told that this will be attended by a large number of representatives, including Ms. Avni Lavasa, Ms. Sonam Bhutia, and Dr. Manvi Sharma, amongst others. And the ministry is very happy to be associated with today's program. And we have been doing a large number of and workshops even before the COVID situation. But we hardly, I can't recall, we discussed about issues which veered around the woman folk in the wonderful opportunity for us. And it's very important for a project like Secure Himalayas, which is located in the higher altitude, to have this particular webinar today. Let me apologize that this is the best way of meeting the challenges and to hold workshops and seminars. And unfortunately, we have to hide ourselves behind the mask. We don't even know what is the reaction to the other persons that one is speaking to. But these are the days, and this is the best way that we can take it forward. And the technology is sometimes also challenged, and that's what we were facing. And we were delayed by a few minutes, and we are really sorry for that. To come to the issue, to the webinar on women for conservation in the Himalayan region, as you all know, that the Secure Himalayas project has been unleashed by the ministry in, if I'm correct, in 2017. And this is related to the conservation of a species called snow leopard and its landscape. And initially it was launched in the states of J&K, Himachal, Uttarakhand, and Sikkim. And now we know the situation in J&K. We are having the 2 union territories, and the project is, although there have been a lot of stop-start kind of situation in the past, but now it has gathered momentum, and it is now moving in the direction in full steam. And one of the most important factor or part of this project is we all know that the particular landscape which we are conserving through this particular project is located in the higher altitude. And this higher altitude is the snowbound mountains, which are otherwise also known as the water towers of the country. And they are responsible for providing water to millions, maybe half of the Indian population, who are located in this northern and northeastern region of the country. And it is very important that conserve landscape is also preserved. And nowadays, believe in this practice, only believe we is that conservation cannot be done in isolation. And gone are the days when some forest guards in conservation, but it's innovation with participation. And this is the ethos that we are following for the last so many decades, and this has bore a lot of fruit. And we know that the forest condition of the country has improved tremendously. And these days we have, the protected area network, which otherwise known as the national parks, sanctuaries, tiger reserves, community reserves, conservation reserves. These have also increased tremendously, and today it stands around 900, and it was around 700 just a few years back. And these are the gain that the country has received, not only by the participation of the department or the ministries, but I am of firm conviction that it has been done due to the contribution of the local population, the communities, who are living there, even the people who are away their area. Got pressure groups now who are on there just to help the conservation in the plan. So so these days we are involving the people along with any of the project that we unleash, and Secure Himalayas is also no different. And in this particular project also, we have involved a large number of communities who are living in that particular area. And one more important thing that we are trying to actually bring in through this project into the concept of wildlife conservation in the entire country is the landscape-based. We know that we are protecting through the protected area mechanism, but now we are expanding because places J&K, Himachal, Sikkim, these are landscape-based areas where the conservation through protected area network may not suffice. So we need to have a management action oriented, it's landscape-based, and we are trying very hard till that concept through this particular project, and we are trying to make some sort of a pilot scheme for the entire country through this project to make a landscape-based management plan. So all in all, this project will be an eye-opener, especially in the higher altitude conservation of species and landscape. And what best to have the community and the women folk involved in it. If the persons who are associated with the forest department will be knowing that the joint forestry system that we have unleashed for the last few decades do have a good number of representation from the women. And if I can recall correctly, from the place that I come from, West Bengal, there are committees, which the joint forest management committees. These committees initially were men-centric committees, and for the last 10 years, I think there has been a sea change. The composition has been made in such a manner that 1/3 has to be, represented by the the women folk. And that itself is making a lot of changes on ground. We know that the conservation issues, which was very difficult to cut across, or you make men understand about the value of conservation, it was becoming very difficult. But when this change of involvement of women came into the joint forestry management committees, situation actually improved drastically. And this, I am told that the same thing has happened or replicated in other parts of the country. So in this case also, in the particular project that we are in and we are discussing today, we have a good population of women folk who are directly associated with the collection and dissemination of the minor forest produces. I'm told by the authorities in the Secure Himalayas project that the people who are responsible for collecting, dissemination, and even marketing of the minor forest produce are the women folk. And if there are some negative impact which is happening through the vagaries of the nature or the negativities of the society towards this project, is also actually harming the economic and the well-being of the women folk. So it is very important that through the conservation of this project, we have the responsibility of the women folk, driven towards a particular direction, which actually helps us to get the maximum benefit out of their contribution to the society through this project. I would also say that, there are situations where the contribution of the woman are sometimes undermined. And we have been trying desperately in order to, highlight the contribution of the women folk, both in the villages, even in the block level committees and their activities. We, in some of the states, I know that some awards have been instituted, which actually will be given to the women folk only. And that will enable them to come forward, because still in Indian society, we know that, there has been a lot of advancement, but still women are not given the opportunity which they deserve. And some of the progressive states like Karnataka, Maharashtra, are trying to promote the skills, the entrepreneurship, the industriousness of women, and actually tapping their energy for the betterment of the society. So I think all these are very good examples which can be replicated in our project. And particularly because I was saying, I'm told that these are the areas where, the men folk goes out for work and the women folk are actually responsible for the conservation of the landscape, conservation of whatever forest is available, conservation of the species as such, and large number of the so-called minor forests are also being harvested by the women folk in these areas. And at the same time, the local economy, there are many handicrafts which are being actually promoted in these areas, are entirely women based. And so I think the good practices that we have, have in the country can also be replicated here, and enable not only for the goodness of outcome of this project as such, will be able to achieve the outcome, but I'm sure it will be helping, the society at large for the improvement of the economy, the local economy, and at the same time, the saving the landscape and the ecology of those areas. So my best wishes are there, and I will be looking forward to the speakers. And there, I understand Avani is there, and I met her, I think, about 2 years back during a meeting in Ladakh, Leh, and I found her very enterprising, and she will be leading the charge today, perhaps, and I will be very keen listening to her. And, we are banking heavily on you all, the women folk, for a good society. And we also have a good number of women officers who are present here, and some women representative from some other organization. And I'm looking forward to, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but with a, silent understanding that something very good will come out from today's meeting. And the entire project that the ministry and the states have embarked upon for the conservation of snow leopard and its landscape will be benefited by their participation. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind remarks and setting the tone for the webinar. I would now like to invite Dr. Sonali Ghosh, Deputy Inspector General, Central Zoo Authority, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, to guide the proceedings from here on. Over to you, Dr. Ghosh.
Thank you, Mr. Parth, and thank you and very warm welcome to all of you. I think we were switching in between meetings and we had a technological problem, but having said that, I think we haven't introduced Soumitra sir very well, so I think I'll take the opportunity first of all. He himself has been leading this entire initiative of snow leopard conservation and its habitat, and that's the reason why we are all sitting here today as part of it as the second of the webinar series. I'm sure all of you have heard the first one, which was launched on October 22nd, and we got Dr. George Schaller to give a message, which was very, we were indeed honored. So as sir has already mentioned, and as we are all sitting, we are the reason why we are doing this very special event is to learn and understand and kind of appreciate the challenges which tough women like all the youngsters that we have today with us, have kind of the challenges you've faced of working and living in these remote high mountain ranges. And it is indeed an honor and pleasure for me to first of all invite Ms. Avni Lavasa. She is an Indian Administrative Service Officer who has served as Deputy Commissioner in Leh. And Ms. Lavasa, we are very, very familiar, and it is laudable the work that you've done with waste segregation, especially at the subdivision Khalste of Leh, which has greatly helped in supporting environment-friendly initiatives in these friendly and fragile ecosystems. You're currently serving as the Municipal Commissioner for Jammu region. So the way we have structured this, we would like to hear more about this initiative from you. And then we would also want to understand that were there any challenges, especially as a woman working in these remote regions. And since we are hoping that this webinar is going to be archived in YouTube, we are going to have a lot of youngsters, especially women in the region watching this. So we would like to also ask you that what would be your message to these young, youngsters aspiring to work in these areas. So over to you, Ms. Avni Lavasa.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to all the listeners. I am very privileged to be part of this, especially because conservation is something very close to my heart. Although I am not an expert or a technical person in the, I would like to share my experience as an administrator. As Dr. Ma'am mentioned about the that we undertook in Leh. I will first just like to speak about just like Leh, which is situated. There are parts. There are habitable parts which are close to 15,000 feet above sea level. It has a very unique landscape. It is obviously when we say that it comes with its challenges of water shortages. It is there's very less humidity. It has it has unique flora and fauna, and it has very, very less vegetation. Temperatures go down to -30. So this gives a picture of a very challenging life. So the first thing that I say here is that life, when is challenging, I think it was that it makes the population of an area so much more closer to nature, and it makes them more conscious of the importance of living in harmony with nature. So that is that was a very intuitive thing, intuitive quality that I noticed, that everyone there had a respect for the ecology around them, and the importance of the necessity to preserve it and to like I said, live in harmony and minimize conflict. So that is one thing that makes it easier to implement conservation in such areas, especially when there is so much there's rise in tourism in Leh and Ladakh. There are newer things coming. There are more tourists coming. There is more construction activity. So keeping all that in mind, I will first of all say that the community in tough terrains, in mountainous terrains, they have a very naturally positive way of living in harmony with their environment. So having said that, then obviously the which are part of their traditions and which are part of their day-to-day lives. For example, I will speak of waste management. The waste management, therefore, the organic waste. There's hardly any out from their houses, because everything was either fed to the cattle or it was vermicomposted, however complicated that is in such a climate. But that was an example of how they traditionally manage whatever limited resources they have to achieve and to get the best possible, to harness the best possible use for them in their constraints. With regard to the project that ma'am was referring to, we called it Project Sangta, which means cleanliness in the local language. There, the focus was on primary segregation of waste. The primary segregation of waste into dry waste and wet waste was what the main focus was, and then the collection of the waste. After collection, we then did secondary segregation of that waste. The secondary segregation was done in further subcategories of about 20, and we were I would say innovative enough, or we really worked hard to find reuses and recycled for 16 out of those 20 categories, and there was only about 7 to 8% of waste that actually was inert and that actually had to finally go to the landfill. So so this is a model that we started with the semi-urban areas, the areas which were officially rural, but they had all the characteristics of an urban area, because these are the areas which are now increasingly seeing the influx of more population, and the pressure on the local resources was increasing, and it will continuously increase. So this was started in one place called Choklamsar, and at present, although I'm not posted there, at present, there are 6 such centers which are running across the district. Because we are here talking about the role of women in conservation, I will specially like to make a mention of 2 or 3 very important contribution that women made to the success of this project, which does show the natural affiliation that women have, and generally I would say of being more sensitive towards conservation and towards environment friendly practices. When we started this project, like we face in many other things, there was a certain social stigma associated with people not willing to come and be segregation workers. And I am very happy to share, and I also feel very proud that it started with women coming forward to be part of this. We usually talk of women playing a role in say segregation at their own houses, at the household level. But here I would like to make a special mention that not just in their own houses, they came forward to be associated with the project as segregation workers, and that was a big step forward. They set a very good example about how this job was not something that had to be stigmatized. In fact, it is something that was, in a way, I would say, a service that they were doing to the society from the point of view of conservation. So this is one thing. The second thing was that training, when we were training all the community and going to the various households to train, it was the women who were coming forward, volunteering to be part of it, and obviously paying the user fee to make this entire model a success was also something that the women of across the different villages of the district, it was the women who made these decisions, and it was the women who made these decisions very positively and very proactively, which led to the success of these projects. Why it is so difficult to implement conservation projects is, one, it doesn't give you return as an individual right there and then. So that is something that is sort of a disincentive when we have to implement such projects at the community level. And the second thing is that the result, even though we may understand that it is for the greater good, we don't actually see the good in the short term. So these two things, these two characteristics make conservation a very challenging project to implement as an administrator. And I observe that vision that of doing of following environment friendly practices for a better future, that vision is very is shared by women folk more than the men folk. So that is something that is remarkable. That was remarkable when we were implementing this project, and that is something that played a great role in the success of this project, because like I said, conservation is very, very challenging, because one, you're not doing it for yourself, and second, you don't see the results immediately. So you need a different level of understanding of you need a very different level of understanding and to actually be proactively part of conservation. uh, so this is about the solid waste management project that we did, and I am very happy to say that it is still running very successfully all over the district. The I will also like to mention here the role of the women employees of the Rural Development Department, who were very active in implementing this. And again, it was a lot of the women employees who took the lead in doing this. So all in all, a very, very important role played by by various women. But I will not like to understate the role of the community as a whole, which obviously forms in these tough terrains. The community as a whole is very sensitive and very conscious of such practice. Aside that, the challenge. I will in fact say that it is much easier to implement and to work on such projects in Himalayan regions, in tougher terrains, because the community, there is more community feeling, there is more because face hardships, because life in itself is so hard that you are more receptive to conservation practices. You make them more a part of your day-to-day life. You understand it better when the administration approaches you to be part of such practices. So instead of challenging, it makes it easier to undertake such work in tougher terrains. And it is such a pleasure to actually it is to undertake these community initiatives, because we learn more than we are actually contributing. We learn how progressive these communities are, and how sensitive they are to such problems, challenges, and how they together learn to combat these. I would also like to make a mention of the nomads of Ladakh, the Changpas. I would like to make a mention of their the hardships that they face, men, women alike, the hardships that are faced by the nomads, and they live very close. They are probably the most vulnerable, most at risk from wildlife, and it is so admirable that they are the ones who don't retaliate who don't retaliate, and who are not aggressive towards wildlife. So that is something that is very admirable. That is something that tells us again a lot about these communities, how they are very close to wildlife, at the same time realizing that their existence it's codependent. They do not they're not aggressors when it comes to wildlife. And Ladakh has a decent size of snow leopard population, and there are snow leopard attacks. There are feral dog attacks, but the nomads really have a very non-aggressive approach to wildlife. Another observation that I would like to share, which I find very interesting, is the folk songs. The folk songs of various mountain communities. They talk of conservation. There is a folk song in Ladakh which talks of the black-necked crane, and in a very positive, in a very glorifying way. And an interesting observation again I would like to share is that song is traditionally sung by women. So the men have traditional songs about hunting and about war, but the women have traditional songs about wildlife. So that does tell us something about the attitude of mountain women towards wildlife. Ma'am, I would like to close my talk here for this particular session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Savni Lavasa. That was absolutely from the heart, as you said. And if I can summarize, I think you've touched upon some very important points, as we call it in our technical language, perhaps ecosystem-based adaptation. The nomadic community, the local community there, and how they are not really kind of looking at innovation, but rather adapting themselves to what the harsh climate is, and their practices, their livelihood, everything is linked to the harsh terrain there. We've also mentioned about the nature-culture linkages in terms of how it is within the cultural adaptation of the people, which is alive and kept through the folk songs, the cultural significance of the flora and fauna, and of course your own personal journey of how you kind of realized this early on, that it is very important to have eco-friendly and environment-friendly aspects to it. So thank you so much. Please continue with us, and if there is any other question, because people are watching on live tube, and if there is something interesting, we will perhaps ask you that. But having said that, I will like to move on to the next speaker, which is Ms. Sonam Choden Bhutia. She is from the Sikkim Forest Department and is currently posted as Director of Kanchenjunga National Park and also the Biosphere Reserve. She has over 25 years of field experience, and she was instrumental in working towards the inscription of Kanchenjunga as a World Heritage Site, perhaps the first in India in terms of the under the mixed category. So Sonam, over to you, and please share with us. You are the daughter of the soil, as we say, and we would love to hear about your experience of working and living in that landscape. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good afternoon, all. I'd like to start with one presentation. I think I will do that. I'll share a presentation. Hope it is. It can be seen. Yeah. I can carry on.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, you
start.
can. Yes, please.
Yeah. So I will be focusing more on the role of women in Sikkim. I start with, I'd like to give introduction of our land. We are 22nd state of India, lies in the central Himalayan region. Everybody are well aware that Great Himalayan is just differentiated into Western, Central, and Eastern. We are kept in Central. I always felt that it should have been in Eastern, I don't know. So that's why I put that in the bracket. It is surrounded by Tibetan Plateau in the north, Bhutan in the east, Nepal, and West Bengal in the south. The highest mountain is Mount Kanchenjunga. It is 28,156 feet. By the name of our World Heritage Site from this mountain. The geographical area is 7,096. Total populations of 2011 census is 6 lakhs, above 6 lakhs. We are 86 person per square kilometer as density, and we became member of Northeastern Council in the year 2002. Now, if you have to talk about biodiversity of Sikkim, then Sikkim covers only 0.2 geographical area of India, but has 26% of country's total biodiversity. And Sikkim, being part of Eastern Himalayan, falls within one of the 2 hotspots in the country also. Biodiversity significance, if I have to say, then it is rich in biodiversity. It's a botanist's paradise. It's situated in 2C and 1B biogeographical zone. It falls under one of the 18 biodiversity hotspots in the world. Floral diversity is as such. The flowering plants are 4,500, rhododendron, 36 species. But medicinal plant, we have never updated. I don't know why. There's 424 written till now also. But when I was working under NTFP division, under SMPV, we had done one camp exercise program where we have the FRST Bangalore has they found out it's more than 1,081, I think, medicine plant species in the state. So I put that also in the bracket. Fawn and analyze, so whatever it is there, as you can see there. Now, faunal diversity, mammals 150, bird, this is the diversity. And red panda is our state animal. Elephant is our state bird. Now, my focus will be contribution of women conservation in Himalayan region as a forester of Sikkim Forest Department. I would be focusing more on the contribution done by women for Sikkim Forest Department towards conservation. I'd like to start with entry of women officers and front-end staff in Sikkim Forest Department. So first Indian Forest Service officer was appointed in the year 1992. She is DIG there in MOAF right now, Ms. Bharati. State Forest Officer, 1996, I was the first one among, we were 5 batchmates, in 5 of us, I was the only one. And then women frontline staff also was recruited during that time only. So 90s were when we entered the department. Forest Department, we inducted in year 97, block officer, we call here beat officer in year 1999. Now, if you have to look at the present status of women workforce in our department right now, so we have this many people. We have, I've written 7, ACF as 7 only, assistant conservator forest, but there are 9 it seems. So we are total 167, including which from forest guard to IG rank officer. So we are, I think, almost 25 to 30% of the level is, you can see it's almost 30% of our strength. It's not showing. I wanted to show the map. I can't see it, but I don't know whether you can see or not. This is the protected area map I wanted to show. We have, so there we have 7 wildlife sanctuaries, 1 national park, 1 viceroy reserve. So total protected area is 183.10 square kilometers, which is 30% of the state total geographical area. Why I wanted to show this was because out of all these protected areas, except for 1 in the North District, Chingba Rhododendron Sanctuary, all other protected areas are managed under the guidance and supervision of lady officers only. So DFOs, whoever posts are all DTV. The role of women in some of the great endeavors of the department, to say a few only, which we think that we have achieved something. is, sorry, the inscription of the only UNESCO heritage site was under Geneva has a prominent role of a lady officer in documenting lives in actually, I'm not the one. She was, this happened under the JICA EDIT project. So during that time, under this biodiversity component, there was one DFO appointed. She's also wildlife DFO at present. So she did everything. She had a major role to play on documentation, everything. So this I wanted to point out, and during that time, the field support at that point of time was coordinated by the ACF KNP then, which is DFOY KNP at present. External aided JICA funded project also has been successfully implemented and are being on verge of finishing, concluding part with lady officers as nodal officer for various components. There are many components. So nodal officers, lady officer were there. Is there. First ever wildlife population estimation was also successfully completed with involvement of lady officer, both in office, data compilation to the field level work. I think some of the traits which enhance the role of women toward effective biodiversity conservation, I feel, yes, because we are dedicated, we are sincere, we are responsible, we are reliable, we are calm and composed when we make our decision, when we do our field works, wherever. We are resilient, we are multitasker. And I think we are great time management. We have a skill of optimum time management. We can manage times. It's as good as when you can manage who you manage office or this type of stuff is no problem for us, it seems. Role of a woman as a conservationist, they are the sustainable user of natural resources. Why I'm saying this is when a woman go to collect fiber in the jungle, they will collect only dry twigs, which whatever is fallen. They will not be, maybe because they are not they say that physically they are not very strong. They are. So they don't cut huge, green, healthy trees. So I think we are the promoter of the sustainable use of our natural resources. We have a very, very eco-friendly approach to everything. We are follower of today's mantra of reduce, reuse, and recycle. It is when you can take a simple example at home. How do we reuse? How do we not waste our stuff at home also? In the same fashion, we do that in the field of conservation also. So we are a savior, we are guardian of our the resources. We don't allow pilferage of it. We don't allow overuse of it. We are ecotourism promoter. We are climate change activists. We are adaptations to the changes in us is quite high. The engagement of the women. I wanted to show the photo. It's not shown. So I wanted to show some of the community ladies being involved in the field works. So here also, I can't see anything. Women have a key role to play. So this, through our department is being, we are in collaboration with many of, as other state forest department, we work in collaboration with many of our, like WWF. They are the one who is doing this. If you have to say this, then this is basically initiative. These are the initiatives. They have the initiatives for the fuel efficient Chula, improve natural resource management. Activists involve women. Therefore, not only they can't hide this. They are not only. See, so when we talk about providing improved natural resource to springs, recharge, plantation activities, we act. So when we involve, they not only provide income, they don't, money or cash is not only the matter. The amount of, the respect they get from their home itself, because they earn something, is immense, I think. We need to look into that. It's not about the amount of money, how much, 100 rupees, 1,000 rupees, it doesn't matter. they get empowered because they're earning. Ahead. Oh, stay. So whatever I wanted to talk about is there's a need to expand horizon for women to occupy role primarily dominated by males. So the forest department, which was forest department as such, the job itself, which was supposed to be totally male arena, has been, in terms of Sikkim Forest Department, which is already seen that they have been accepted. Maybe this is not only because I think we are far advanced in comparison to mainland India as far as empowerment of women are concerned. So that may be one of the reasons we are respected here more. We are accepted the way we are. So this makes our job more easier. But not the least, Sikkim's natural resources are being and well managed by the dedicated and passionate team of ladies, and should only hope for the best. Best is yet to come, I think. So this is what I have to say. So how do I go back to share? So this. Yes.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
done.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sonam. That was absolutely brilliant, and the pride and with the conviction that you spoke, I think that's another feather in the cap of the state of Sikkim, because they have such strong women. And I really admire and the adjectives that you've given for the women team, that they are passionate and they like to work systematically. That has been brilliant. And also in terms of how you kind of beautifully mentioned that what should be how they have impacted in each and every aspect of management, be it tourism or forest management. So thank you so much, and keep up the good work. So with that, I think we can. Thank you. I'll request you to be on mute, and if you want to save on bandwidth, we can also switch our videos off, but it's absolutely fine. And what we can do is I'll move on to Dr. Manvi Sharma. Dr. Manvi, you have your work with the Nature Conservation Foundation, and you've done your PhD from the Indian Institute of Science, where you've studied the ecology and evolution of behavioral adaptations in prey predator systems. Your research interests include behavioral ecology, population ecology, and evolutionary ecology. And currently, you are involved with the population assessment of snow leopards and its prey in Himachal. So, Dr. Manvi, a lot of young researchers, aspiring scientists would be watching today, and we would love to hear about your, trials and tribulations in this tough landscape, and what's your mantra to carry on. So, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sonali. It's an honor to be here for this discussion, and I want to start by, sharing my appreciation for you organizing this seminar, because it not only, lets women voices heard, but also sends a strong message about participation of women in conservation in high altitude systems. So my training is in ecological research, and I'll first quickly tell about the projects that I'm involved in, and then I'll speak about my personal journey and some of the challenges that I faced during this journey. So I'm a research associate at Nature Conservation Foundation, and the broad goal of our science team is to produce science that mediates the knowledge and action boundary for biodiversity conservation in these habitats where snow leopards are found. And as Dr. Soumitra Das was saying, the project Snow Leopard has now moved beyond protected area based conservation, and we talk about landscape level approach for conservation and for studying these populations. So the main project that I am involved in right now is to conduct a state level assessment of snow leopard populations and their prey. And we have a partnership with the Himachal Pradesh Forest Department, and it's inspiring how our teams have sampled these difficult terrains that are spread over more than 24,000 square kilometers, and several of my women female colleagues have done camera trapping work for in these very difficult terrains in Himachal Pradesh. And sometimes they have also conducted surveys with the community and the hunters there, and they have a very rich experience of working in these difficult terrains. So this project is for assessment of snow leopard populations and their prey, and the goal is also to do a long-term understanding of how these populations would change over space and in time. And apart from this big project that I'm involved in, the other project that we're doing is for long-term monitoring of blue sheep and ibex populations in some of our sites. And again, we're finding that the role of livestock is important to understand in deciding what sets the floor and the ceiling of the populations of these blue sheep. So again, the message that I want to give is that science-based conservation is important for designing conservation interventions. And apart from the research work, my team and we are also involved in capacity building, because these projects are beyond just a number, the number of snow leopards that are found here in these areas, right? So we also engage with the frontline staff of the department, where we conduct workshops for camera trapping work. And I want to use this opportunity to share a story about one of the engagements that we had with the ministry, where recently for the Wildlife Week, we were invited by the Himachal Pradesh Forest Department to speak about our work. And it was interesting that both speakers were females, and the PCCF and the PCCF HOF and PCCF Chief Wildlife Warden was also a female, very dynamic female leaders. So that was an inspiring and defining moment, because I think it's important not just to have women participation, but it's important to have them in these leadership roles where they can really mobilize action. So that's the message that I want to also give to people, to have women in these leadership roles. I think the challenges, I also want to spend some time to my personal journey and the challenges that I faced is, I think the big thing that I feel, especially in STEM fields, is the lack of role models, female role models, because I think so I'm from a business family where gender roles are defined in a certain way, and it was an additional bit of exercise to explain to everybody about choosing an unconventional career for my work. So there I thought having those role models around me would have really made a big difference. But I was quite fortunate to have these superb mentors at the Indian Institute of Science, and my PhD advisor has shaped my scientific training quite a bit. But I know that only very few places have these role models, and it's important to have female researchers, not just at the student level or at PhD levels, but also at faculty positions. So that's the thing that I hope for in the future, that we have more females at leadership roles. And I think it goes without saying that in the post COVID world, the female researchers have been set back much more than male researchers, and it's already showing that the gap between the published papers between female and male researchers is already widening in this year. So again, I think that's something as institutions we need to think about and work on. That's the challenge that I think we need to all think about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Manvi. That was very, very interesting, and again, straight from the heart, as they say, and very, very good to know that you've got. Super mentors. You mentioned about both the woman PCCF and Chief Allied Warden in Himachal Pradesh, which has absolutely, that's something which is super exciting. And you'll be happy to know that we have 5 states in the country which are headed by women officers. So there is a lot of impact now, and women at decision-making roles is increasing for sure. So I think that is good, and we have had a couple of questions which has come in, when we were, kind of making this advertising for this webinar. So I will perhaps, if you all permit, we will ask one question to each of you. And maybe I'll start with Manvi and go in the reverse order, and then we will close it, and we'll request ADG sir for the closing remarks. So Dr. Manvi, the question for you is that since you're researching and you've done some core fundamental work in behavioral ecology and in these landscapes, what do you think is the need of the hour in terms of research when we look at especially human-animal coexistence in these regions? So is there something on your wish list that this is something that you would want to study in the near future, and especially in these difficult terrains?
Yeah, I think the 2 big things that are important to do right now are long-term understanding of these ecosystems, and also we need to include social science, aspects of social science research in our work, and understand these other dimensions, socio-political and cultural dimensions of biodiversity conservation, and not just have an ecology-based understanding. So these are the 2 areas that I see that can be improved on.
Right. Thank you. Absolutely precise and brief, which is good. And then I would like to ask Ms. Sonam, are you still connected? Ms. Sonam, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Okay, good. So, Ms. Sonam, the question for you is that ecotourism, when we think of ecotourism, when we think of something as responsible tourism, we always think of Sikkim. And how do you feel and how do you think women can make a better, they can make a better impact when it comes to ecotourism? Are there any other further interventions required to do that?
I think women's role in ecotourism would be very important, I feel, because in ecotourism, there is now concept of homestays, where we allow visitors to have a feel of how do we live and how do we stay. So in that scenario, I think women would be playing very important role by providing in a tourism in a very friendly manners, economic, eco in all the aspect. I think ecology also, economically also, and they'll be empowered to great extent, and this would enhance the real ecotourism in the coming days, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. So community-based tourism, and of
Yes.
course, women would have a better sense of understanding that. So thank you so much, Ms. Sonam, for that. I would like to request Ms. Avni, if you are there. Ms. Avni, the question then for you would be that if given a choice, I mean, you've done some fantastic work with solid liquid waste management, what are the other interventions that you need, do you think, where we need to come up with environmental friendly, eco-friendly technological interventions in these regions? So is there anything else that you think there is scope that we need to tap into traditional wisdom? There is a need to tap into, the ecologically sustainable practices and bring it mainstream into the way we do take up development in these remote areas. Ms. Avni, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now, ma'am?
Yes, please. Yes.
And when we are talking of eco-friendly practices, I think it's very important to keep in mind that we need to look after the livelihoods of the local communities because of their remoteness and because of the tough terrain. That in itself becomes very challenging and reduces the opportunities for livelihood. So when we are talking of ecological conservation, I think both need to go hand in hand. So what I feel is that ecotourism, we were just speaking about that in the previous question, ecotourism is something that we need to focus on because tourism is inevitable when the world is being connected through the internet. Everyone knows what's happening everywhere else. It's very difficult for remote communities. They may be physically remote, but they are no longer disconnected from what's going on. So they know what's going on. There is connectivity, there's air connectivity, there is road connectivity. People are visiting these places. So it's very important to have the development of ecotourism in a sustainable way so that livelihoods are not hampered. When livelihoods are not hampered, the communities will participate very, very proactively and in a very positive and progressive manner in conservation as well.
Correct. I think, thank you so much. Absolutely right. And I think the livelihood connect, especially when we are looking at any sort of intervention, modern intervention, is very, very important. So very much relevant to what we have discussed so far. And I would now, to sum up and to conclude and perhaps give concluding remarks, I would like to request ADG Sir, Sri Soumitra Dasgupta Sir. Sir, kindly, sir, you've heard all our young speakers and their own interventions and their own challenges and ambitions to work in this landscape. And sir, over to you for your concluding remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Sonali. I'm audible now? Am I audible, Sonali?
Yes, sir, you are. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you once again, Sonali. As I told you in the beginning, it's an opportunity. And so I think I would say it's a privilege for me to be a part of such kind of program where we were outnumbered. I think in entire show, I and Mr. Parth Joshi were there. And I'm happy that we were outnumbered because I think the call of the day is to have the women folk, come forward and actively lead the society because now and then they have proven themselves, their worth in the society and their importance in the development of the society at large. And I was very happy to listen to Ms. Avni and she still maintains her same, determination and grit that I saw her about 2 years back. And it was very interesting to note the points that she talked about the nature cultural linkage, and the passion with which she described about the involvement of women, especially in the Ladakh area, in the local development. That was very pleasing to hear, and I'm sure, because Ladakh is a very important component of the Secure Himalayas project, and women folk coming forward, or already they are taking the lead in many sectors, will actually be helping the project, to move forward in the right direction. Because as I was trying to stress upon in the very beginning, that large quantum of activities that have been proposed in the project will be dependent largely on the participation of the women folk, and the success eventually would actually lie upon their participation. And coming to Ms. Sonam Bhutia, her presentation was also quite informative, and she was fiercely protective about the women rights, and the way she talked about that the first IFS Indian Forest Service officer coming to Sikkim in 1992, followed by her coming to the service in 1996, if I remember correctly, and the contribution being made by the women officers in the forestry sector in the Sikkim region, because Sikkim is one, not only it's the organic state, it's one of the most forest-rich state. And again, as we all know, from multifarious forestry activities, the role of women is primordial. And so when the woman folk is coming forward in the leadership role in such kind of situation, it's very optimistic, and a situation of hope for all of us. And I was again very happy to hear to Dr. Manvi Sharma, and I heard that she was speaking about the going beyond the protected area and talking about the landscape-based management and the work that even used to be a male domain, the enumeration of snow leopard and etc. It used to be a male domain. Now the woman is playing such a significant role is very pleasing to hear. And I'm also happy that she is continuing with her projects on the ecology, population ecology of snow leopard and other associated species, which eventually will, because I have got a feeling that the correctness is more, the commitment is more when some woman is in lead, and I'm sure the activities that they are embarking upon will be actually more decisive in nature in the future. So that's what I hope for. And as Dr. Sonali spelled out, it's a very important and pleasant day for the women folk in the Indian Forest Service, because 4 of the forest officers are actually the top of the forest hierarchy in 5 states. So that never had happened in the past. So that is the maximum that we have seen today. So it's a sort of record that we are holding, the women are holding in the Indian Forest Service. And I'm sure such kind of examples are to be found in galore in other services. And these numbers should not be the end of it. I'm sure the numbers will be increasing in the future. So my best wishes are there for the women who are actually doing such great service to the nation and to the society. And I'm very thankful to them, and I'm hoping that with their participation and with the participation of all and sundry, the project objectives which we have laid down about 4 or 5 years back will be meeting its objective in the future. So thank you, all of you. And now I hand over the mic to Dr. Sonali Ghosh. Thank you, Sonali. It's your turn now.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you for your very encouraging and guiding words, because I think it is really important, as Dr. Manvi said, to have role models and to have super mentors. And I think it works both ways. We have good women in the field, and of course, we have good men who back them and encourage them. So it's all a win-win situation. So thank you so much. I thank once again our expert speakers today, the panelists, and for your valuable time and inputs. And we look forward to engaging with all of you in the near future as we take this journey together. I thank the team backing up this, especially NIC, the Wildlife Division, the UNDP support we got in organizing this. And until we meet again, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. Leave meeting. Yeah, exit meeting. Yeah. Leave meeting. Leave meeting. Leave meeting. Leave meeting. You know.